Thank you for calling Money. This is your money. Okay. Yes, no, I get it. I bet that speech at the fundraiser was amazing. But, I just don't think we can give our entire paycheck to save the guinea pigs. So how about instead we start with a percentage? No, not 99%. I was thinking lower. Now we're going to talk about my favorite thing. It's called a budget. Hello? Where'd you go? I'm going to say a word. And this word starts with the letter B. All right, they already hung up. What if we budget? Hello? Now we're gonna make a budget. Hello? It's damn gonna make a budget for you. Hello? Okay, that was fair. I just want to help someone make a plan. Please, let's talk about a budget. Money, what's your emergency? Mom, I told you not to call me on this line. It's very important work that I'm trying to do here. Yeah, Mom, what joke was it? That is a good one. Dad, you hear this joke from Mom? Yeah, Mom, tell her. Hey, Money, this is me. I'm Money. Hello, how can I help you? Oh, yes, I can hear that you are very frustrated. Well, I don't have the authority to spend myself, but I can help you figure out who has been spending me. Are we sure that it wasn't you, though? Okay, all right. We can look at the statement if you want to. Yeah, on page 12. That is how much interest you are paying on your credit card every month. I did not sign us up for that deal. That was not me. Okay, so you've already bought it. Oh, so now you want to figure out how to pay for it. Okay. Well, it'd be really nice if we had these conversations before you made the purchase. Thank you for calling, Money. Karen, I'm so glad that you called again. Now we can finally put together a plan. I don't think I sound like your father. Well, your father sounds like a very nice and intelligent man, and maybe you should listen to both of us more. Oh, Karen, that is some very saucy language. I meant that as a compliment. You know what? Okay, I'm getting a call. I'm gonna have to put a hold on this. Hello, Money. What's your emergency? Karen, just because you call me on a different line isn't gonna lead to a different result. I am not yelling. I just need you to listen to me. I thought we were going steady.
Greetings in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. What a joy it is just to be alive and to have this opportunity to celebrate this gift of life anew with you again today. We welcome you back to If Money Talked, where we are letting our money do the talking. I hope that you will invite somebody to share this stream with you by clicking on the share button now, that you will like this stream because it'll move the content up in the feed of those with whom you associate simply by clicking the like button, because we want to get this good word out to as many people as possible. I also hope that you've continued, as we suggested, to spy on your money. In fact, I hope that becomes a habit you have for life. And I hope that you begin thinking and maybe even spending more like a manager and less like an owner, because we remember we shared that God owns everything and we are given the responsibility and the opportunity to manage it. After our last session together, maybe you've even taken some steps in the direction of give, save, and live. Say that with me now, wherever you are. Give, save, and live. Now type it in the chat space. Everybody together, give, save, and live. As we share today's lesson, I want to share with you a big question, a question that on the surface doesn't seem to have anything to do with money. But I believe in the end, you'll discover it has everything to do with money. And it's actually a question that Jesus sets up with a parable. This is one of my favorite parables or stories that Jesus told perhaps many years ago, because this was the parable, among others, that God used to redirect my thinking as it relates to my personal finances. Here's a Cliff Notes version of what the parable says. He said, the ground of a certain rich man yielded an abundant harvest. Stop right there. Here's a rich guy who now has even more wealth. Sound familiar? Because his ground produced an abundant harvest. The ground, which, by the way, he has no control over. And so Jesus continues. The rich man thought to himself, what shall I do? I mean, this was a problem, right? What shall I do? I have no place to store my crops. And then he said, this is what I'll do. I'll tear down my barns. I will build bigger barns, and there I will store my, note the word here, surplus, my extra grain. Now, on the surface, it doesn't seem like we have anything in common with this lucky, rich, wealthy fellow. But just beneath the surface, I think we'll sense and see something different. So let me ask you, have you ever had a garage sale? Drop a thumbs up in the chat if you have. Next question. Have you ever carried a load or two or 22 to the Goodwill? Put a smiley face in the chat. Here's another. Have you ever had a hard time finding a place in the attic or in the closet or in the basement for something you weren't using anymore because the attic or the basement was already full of stuff you weren't using anymore? Just type capital H, capital M, capital J for help me Jesus in the chat. My point being, we may have more in common with this wealthy man in the text than we first realize and first meets the eye. So let's go back to the parable. He said, I'll say to myself, you have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry, which is a really great plan if you think about it. It's a great shot of retirement, right? Snapshot. I mean, it's kind of the goal, isn't it? It's the goal put before us, especially as Americans. It's part of the American dream, right? Have enough money to buy whatever you want, do whatever you want, go wherever you want, have whatever you want, save enough so that you can retire and buy whatever you want, go wherever you want, do whatever you want later. And if you've really done things right, you'll have enough to make sure your kids are taken care of as well. If you can do all of that, here's the announcement that we make in America and in American Christianity. We are blessed, right? Get this. This was the exact same thing that the audience of Jesus thought. And then Jesus surprised them with this. But God said to him, as the story continues, to the rich man, you fool, what? Everybody in Jesus' audience was like, wait, what? They were taken aback, just like you are probably, or you were the first time that you perhaps heard or read this parable. I mean, look at the guy. He's achieved the goal. He's living the dream. He's living his best life now. Clearly, there's some kind of disconnect going on in the text. But God said to him, you fool, this very night, your life or your soul will be demanded of you. And then listen to the question, then who will get what you have prepared for yourself? In other words, listen closely, you're out of time, even though you're not out of grain. You are out of time, even though you are not out of money. And that's going to be the story for most of us, isn't it? We've talked about it for most of us because of family support or pensions or 401ks or a decent record of investing. We're actually going to run out of time before we run out of money. So the question that God asked this wealthy guy is really a question for all of us. Then God asked him, who will get all this that you have prepared for yourself? And of course, the answer is somebody else, but not because this guy was generous, because this guy would be dead. He didn't give it. He just left it. Did you hear what I said? He didn't give it. He just left it. Now, at this point, Jesus pulls out of the parable and he addresses the audience and indirectly addresses all of us as well. And here's what he said. This is how it will be. 3 dots right there, and ellipses, pause. This thing that I just described, this thing that I just illustrated, this is how it will be. What? Total, complete loss. Everything was left behind. He ate, he drank, he was merry, and then he died. Nothing meaningful to show for his life. This is how it will be with whoever stores up things for themselves, but is not rich towards God. Don't miss the point, my friends. Jesus is not teaching against preparing for the future. Here's what Jesus is saying. He's saying this is how it will be for anyone who only prepares for their future and is not rich towards God. This is how it will be for anyone who embraces lesson 1, the consumption assumption. You remember that's the assumption that everything that comes my way is for my consumption. That's the mistake the rich man made. He built bigger barns because he thought it was all for him, and in the end, total loss. Do you remember what money told us back in the first lesson of this series? Let me repeat it again. I can add meaning to your life, but I am not the meaning of life. I can add meaning to your life. That's the right lens. That's how we should view our money. That's what we should hear our money say, that money can add meaning to our life because money is a tool. Could I get 12 of you to drop that in the chat space, that 1 4-letter word, tool? And when we realize that money is a tool, it adds meaning to our life. However, in the story Jesus told, the rich man never realized this. He thought money was a gift or an entitlement, not a tool, a reward to sit back and enjoy all by his lonesome. Jesus teaches us that money is a tool, and that's why it can add meaning to our life. So here's the question that I mentioned at the start, the one that at first glance seems to have nothing to do with our money. Here it is. To what ends are you living your life? Slow down, repeat. To what ends are you living your life? Do you want your life to be a means, or do you want your life to be a means to an end? Let me ask it differently. Do you want your life to have purpose? The rich man's life, the rich man's wealth was not a means to anything other than himself. And in the end, he had nothing to show for it for himself but himself. So his life, even with all of his wealth and opulence and affluence, had no meaning. So when he was gone, as Jesus said, it was a total loss. Now, grab this. For something, including your life, to have meaning, it must be a means to an end. Did you get it? For something, including your life, to have meaning, it must be a means to an end. So, to what ends do you want your life to be a means? Here's another way to ask that same question. What do you want people to celebrate about you when you're gone? What do you want people to line up and express gratitude for when your life is over? Most people never pause long enough to ask these types of questions, and perhaps you haven't either. I don't know how you'd answer it, but I know how you wouldn't want to answer it without even talking to you directly. I know you wouldn't want to say, for me, Rev, it's all about accumulation, consumption, and upgrades. The latest this, the latest that. Right. I mean, here's the thing. If you don't figure this out, my friends, life will figure this out for you. Your appetite, your desire for more, bigger, newer, shinier, more upgraded will dictate the answer to that question. Culture, Madison Avenue, Hollywood, celebrity will pull you towards that. She ate, she drank, she was married, and she died. He ate, he drank, he was married, and he died. Nobody chooses that on purpose. That's why the meaning question really is all about your money as well, because money is not a gift. It's not an entitlement. It's not a merit badge. Money is a tool. If you want to approach it in the sense that Jesus did, if you want to allow your money to talk, it's a tool that can add meaning to your life. So can I make it practical? Last time we were together, I said the best way to prioritize financially is to give first, save second, and then live on the rest. That model is reprioritized around generosity rather than consumption. Take the thing that's last on our list, giving, and move it to the top of the list. And I suggested, because of what Jesus said, this was the way we should do it. When he said, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Now, this is the brilliant thing about that statement. It's a principle that actually works both ways. In other words, if you'd like to change where your heart is, you just change where your money is going. And here's something I've been suggesting to people for years. When you decide where to give from a grateful heart and give from a broken heart. Let me spend a little time there. You shouldn't give out of compulsion. You shouldn't give out of obligation. You shouldn't give because you feel like if you don't give, God is going to curse everything else you have or anything like that. You ought to give out of a grateful heart and out of a broken heart. And here's how it works. Out of a grateful heart, choose an organization, maybe your church, maybe the St. Paul's Baptist Church, that you're really grateful for. You're grateful because of what it's done for you, what it's done for your family, what it may be doing for the community. Choose an organization locally and then give a portion of your money there. It may be your church, as I said. It may be your kid's school, whatever it may be. Then choose an organization or two that addresses a need that breaks your heart. This is the second one. So you choose one that moves you in gratitude. You choose one that addresses an issue that breaks your heart. And every time you get paid, send them a check or send them a cash app or send them an electronic payment. That's what it looks like to give from a grateful heart and a broken heart. Because those things that break your heart for a reason. They are calling to your attention, part of God's calling on your life. There's a reason things irritate you and don't bother anybody else. And it's because those things that irritate you, God is calling you to address them. And the key to all of this is you've got to decide ahead of time. Everybody say ahead of time. Like we said last time, pick a percentage of your income and give it right off the top to the organizations you are grateful for and to organizations that address the things that break your heart. Now, giving first may sound a little crazy, and from a certain perspective, it is a little crazy, but it's a better version of crazy than spending everything on you and having nothing to show for it in the end. Am I right? Crazy is living as if your life consisted in the abundance and accumulation of stuff, money, and things that you have. Crazy is leaving your kids a bunch of stuff that they're going to sell or throw away because they don't find it valuable anyway. So, one more time, here's the question. I want you to struggle with this and wrestle with it, pray about it. To what ends do you want your life to be? You should know the answer to that question before you spin yourself into a position where you can address what matters most to you. Skip that question and you'll just follow your money. You'll settle for me first living with a little bit left over to give, and that would be a shame. In fact, Jesus said in the parable, these are Jesus's words, it'll be a total loss. It would be a shame because all you'd have to show for yourself would be yourself. But when you identify and embrace your answer to our big question, your money will follow your priorities. You will begin to view everything you acquire, everything that comes your way, as a tool you can use to add meaning to your life and meaning to the lives of others as well. So let's put in the work, if you will, to get this right. Let's begin to listen to what our money is saying as our money talks. I can add meaning to your life, but I am not the meaning of life. Remember the second lesson. The moment you think you own me, I actually own you. Remember the third lesson. My direction reveals your affection. And here's the sentence for today that I want you to hold on to. If your money could talk to you, it would tell you what you choose to do is a declaration of who you really are. What you choose to do with me, meaning your money, is a declaration of who you really are. It declares who you are. It declares where you are. It declares whose you are. And so my prayer for all of us today is that we will begin to live more like managers and less like owners. My prayer is that you will give and save and live, and in the process, you will discover the peace and the contentment that Jesus talked about when Jesus talked about money. It is possible for you. It's possible for me. It's possible for all of us because money is a tool that can transform your life. It can add meaning to your life, but it is not the meaning of life. Can you hear your money talking? I hope you can, and I hope you'll listen because it's sounding a lot like Jesus. God bless you real good. Until next time, be sure to work with the student outline and student handout. It's designed for you to discuss this lesson in a group context. Maybe that group is coworkers, family, friends, or a group at church. Please take advantage of this opportunity because I want you to get the maximum benefit out of what God provides for you. And that can only happen if you listen when your money is talking. God bless you real good.